To show you guys how I use my AI Toolbox to build an interactive AI bot. So here we are in Slack. I'm just going to show you guys a quick example on how this works. So what we can do is call on Otto, our AI assistant that I built. He's going to ask us, what would you like to write about? So this is the first type of interactive component that Slack has. This is called a block kit. And so from here you can see we have this drop down that allows me to choose between newsletter and social media. So I'm just going to go ahead and say social media, and then this is the second type of interactive component that Slack offers. This is called a modal, to where it actually gets us out of the channel and it has this kind of overlaying screen here. This allows us to actually have input information that somebody could submit. So here it's, what would you like to write about? I'm going to say, please write a short caption talking about strength. Oops. So let's go ahead and submit that, and then we should get a response back. So there it is. Alright, and now we're going to jump into my AI Toolbox. For those of you that are new, the AI Toolbox is a one-time setup where I get Slack connected to OpenAI. So it's a powerful chat experience. I have it running in the cloud, so it's always available. And then at the end of this video, I'll actually show you how I built my own AI assistant that writes code for me. And we'll go ahead and use that to actually create all of the code that we'll be going over in this tutorial. So instead of having to write it all ourselves, we can actually just ask my AI assistant, which it'll then pop out the code for us. We paste it in, and it's as simple as that. So let's jump in. Alright, so here we are in the AI Toolbox. This is the main.py page, which is what creates that connection to both Slack and OpenAI. And then one thing I wanted to go over is I've updated this part a little bit. I'm now using classes, which make the code a little bit easier to maintain. And so I'm able to import these project functions, which are different classes. So I've got a message handler, and then I also have this content creator currently being imported. And then what we also do down here is initialize and set up the handlers. So that's what's happening here. In essence, what we're doing is any message that we get is going to be pushed to the message handler. And so the message handler, as you can see here, is a class, as I mentioned, and what we want to look at is how we're handling the message. So ultimately what we're doing here is redirecting to the appropriate channel, which will have all of the other handlers. And so what we're going to do is build out Otto in this one, and this will be our demo use case. So we'll build it out here. We'll create a channel where Otto's going to operate in. And then one thing I wanted to show you is how this is being built out is we'll have a content creator one, which I actually used my AI assistant to write all of this code for me. And I'll show you how I do that a little bit later. So let's just go ahead and go back to Otto for now. Alright, before we get started building out Otto, I just want to let you guys know that there's been some stuff done in previous videos that I'll go ahead and link to in the description. But basically I built the prompts in a previous video where I actually used ChatGPT to help me build those prompts out. So if you guys want to learn how to really build your prompts and be able to create them yourself, go ahead and watch the video that I'll include in the description. And then the other thing that I'm going to do is the similar pieces that we'll have in every single class now is we're going to have some form of an initiation, and then we'll also set up the handlers. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy and paste all of that, and then we'll jump into Slack's block kit and modal builder, and I'll demonstrate that for you guys. So just wanted to give you that heads up. Alright, so we're in the content creator channel, and what we're going to do is just copy the import of packages. We're going to go ahead and take this social media and newsletter prompts, which basically just give a tone and structure for the AI to write in. Down here, what we're doing is creating a dictionary. It's called writing styles, where later we're going to choose, based on the user's input, we're going to say choose the social media post or the newsletter. And then last thing we're going to copy is this content creator handler. We're going to name it slightly differently, but we're going to go ahead and take the beginning of this. As I mentioned, this is needed for any class creation where you'll have some form of an initiation, which is setting this class up and how to handle it. And then we're setting up these handlers. So we'll have a couple. We may rename these. For now, we're just going to take what it has. And it's basically just saying that we're going to handle not only the block kit selection type, but also the modal submission. So I'll talk about those in just a second. We're gonna hop over to Slack, but let me just copy and paste these over really quickly. So come here, oops. Let's just go up like that, and then we'll paste all of that. Alright, so here we are on the BlockKit page for Slack's API. I just Googled Slack BlockKit Builder. It'll take you here. What we want to do is scroll down, and then we're just going to go ahead and click on this BlockKit Builder. This will pull up the BlockKit Builder, and then if we're looking over here at the left, these are all of the sections and or options or fields that we can actually put onto our BlockKit. So if we just click one, you'll see that that'll plop in here. So what this is doing is showing us what the BlockKit will actually look like. So it's already been set up for us to just have an understanding of some level of visualization. And then over here on the right is the code that we're going to end up copying and pasting. So this is the code for the BlockKit. So that's just an overall demonstration. Now we're going to go ahead and start building our BlockKit. Alright, so we'll just start by removing all of this. So we're going to just trash everything. Get rid of the divider, all of this, and then we'll see all the code go away as well. And then we're just going to go ahead and use this section, and we're going to use this static select. So here we can see it just says pick an item from the drop-down list. We'll go ahead and leave that, but if we wanted to update the text, we could do that here. Let's actually just do it. What would you like to write about? And then you'll see that update, and then we're going to go ahead and create these options here. So what we mainly want to change is the text here. So we're going to go ahead and say newsletter, and then that's going to be value 0. We could update these values, we could update the type, although plain text is really what we're going to want to use here. And then the next one we're going to do is call this one social media, and then we'll go ahead and leave the value as value 1. And then we can see there's a third one that we're actually just going to go ahead and delete out of here. And then we're going to get rid of this comma as well. It actually just did it for us. So, and then I believe we can click on it. No, it doesn't look like we can look at the drop down, but we do know that it should be working once we put it into our code. So we'll just be able to copy and paste this. Just going to copy it now. And then we're going to go ahead and go back over to VS Code where we have handle message. We're just going to quickly look at how we handled it here. So we said blocks equals, and then it's creating a list. So we're going to do the exact same thing over here. Call this blocks equals. It already does a blocks, but it looks like it's handling it a little bit incorrectly. Just want to get rid of that. Pull that up. We'll go ahead and tab all of this in. Get rid of this bottom one, and then we know we want this to be blocks equals. Looks like you can actually just have emojis in there if we wanted to use that, but we're not going to use any emojis in this, so we'll go ahead and get rid of that. So from here, what we're going to want to do is do the say, go ahead and do that, and then blocks equals blocks. And so now, once the message gets pushed from here, which we know is being directed by our message handler, it's telling it to push the message to here. What that's going to do is just return this BlockKit. So the next thing we need to do is decide on how we want to handle the BlockKit. So we're going to call this def handle BlockKit response. And then let's flip back over here. Just need my little cheat code. That's why using my AI assistant is super helpful, because we don't really need to remember all of the components in here. We're just going to use these. We don't really need to build a logger at the moment, so we'll just copy that. We'll go back to auto, we can paste those in here, and then we've got our BlockKit handler being set up. Ultimately what we're doing now is creating the modal. And so just for you guys to know, a modal is basically the same as a blockkit if you like. So a modal can have a blockkit within it, but there's just a little bit of additional code on a modal that basically tells it to show in a different screen, and it also allows you to submit information. So we're going to go ahead and create our submit modal, and I'm going to jump over to Slack again. So we'll go ahead and go back to here. We're just going to delete this one, and then we know we're just going to want an input field. So we're going to scroll down to the input section, and then we'll go ahead and let it be a multi-line text. So we'll go ahead and change the label text here. It's currently just saying label there. So what we want to do is call this, what would you like to write about? And then that's gonna show up there, and then it allows us to say write something. So we're just gonna go ahead and copy and paste this. What I'm gonna do is flip over to ChatGPT, and then I'm just gonna ask it to create a responder for us with a modal. So this way we don't even need to remember the code that needs to go on top of our blockkit. We're just gonna ask ChatGPT to do it for us. So please create a modal where we extract the channel and selected option from the blockkit response that triggers this modal to open. Here is the blockkit I would like to include in the modal, and it is an input that requires a submission. Here is the blockkit that was made to trigger this modal to start. Okay, so now we'll just go ahead and go back to here. We'll copy this blockkit from here, and then we shall go back to ChatGPT, go here, and then it should give us a response. And then it's giving us all the code for this. Includes some of the one-time setup stuff, so we're not really going to need most of that. A little bit too much there. We really just want this modal view built for us, so we'll go there, and we'll go ahead and paste this in, and then you can see that got a little bit wonky, so we'll just go like that. And then if we flip back to content creation, we can just look here and double check that we've got everything that we need. So what we need to do is grab these couple lines of code from there, and then you can see what this one's also doing is putting private metadata into the channel ID and selected option. So we have the ability within these modals to use this private metadata, which doesn't show up on the actual modal, but it's our way of being able to pass information so that when we have a submission or when we're actually responding to the modal, that private metadata will be there so we can grab it. And we're doing it in this one so that we can actually respond to the same channel. So any modal that is being interacted with, it inherently doesn't have a channel because it's just the way that the screen pops up over the entire Slack. So it's not associated with a specific channel, and so what we need to do is actually include the channel ID in the private metadata, and then we're also going to include this selected option because that's going to tell us really which option was selected, so now we can choose the appropriate prompt. So we'll go ahead and just copy this part of the code, and then we'll copy the private metadata as well because I don't think it actually put those in there. So we'll go ahead and, for 1, put this down. 2, we'll go ahead and paste that in. And then, as I mentioned, we're going to add one line here called private metadata. You know what, we can just copy and paste from over here. And then we copy that, paste that over here. So if I go like that, that's good to go. So let's just go ahead and delete that for now. It's not necessary. Needs to be capital. There we go. Alright, so we've got that fixed, and the one thing that I wanted to point out is that anytime we have a submit in our modal, a submit option, you saw that we had an input in there, so it requires a submit button for us to actually be able to submit that information. So this is something that's just necessary, and I wanted to call out. Let's go ahead and scroll back over to content creator. So we can see now we're just going to copy this part as well. This is just creating the response. So it uses this client.views_open, and then it grabs the trigger ID, which comes from the blockkit, and then it will end up showing this modal view for us. So we'll just go ahead and copy this part as well. We're going to go ahead and paste that down here. The last thing that we're going to want to do is handle the submission. So we're going to go ahead and just enter down. We'll go here and we'll call this def handle modal submission. And then again, I'm just going to go back to here, copy these. Looks like we've got the view element in here now where we'll be able to view the modal. So we'll paste those in. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste this part over. So if I go ahead and copy that, and then I paste it in here, and then I'll walk you guys through what's happening. So this first line is grabbing the channel ID and the selected option from the private metadata that we passed through. The second one is the actual input that the user put in there. So what do we want to write about was the question, and whatever response they put, they can capture that here. The next thing is we're then choosing the writing style. So this is our dictionary that we created earlier, and then what we want to do is have it fetch the selected option. So if this was newsletter, it's going to grab the newsletter prompt. If it was social media, it'll grab the social media prompt. And then we've got a default that says grab the default if it's neither one of those, if it can't find it. The last one is we're just creating the prompt that we're going to put into OpenAI. So it's a combination of the writing style and the content input. And then what we're doing is creating that response. So we're running our chat completion. Again, this comes from the utilities function above that we've gone through in a previous video, but ultimately just asking ChatGPT, really their API, to create a response for us. And then this is Slack's way of saying let's post that message into the channel, and then we'll use that text as the response. And then this is just any error that we get, we can go ahead and post that. So I think I see now why this looks like it has that error there. So we'll go ahead and fix that. And then we actually need to rename this class. So what we're going to do is go back to our message handler, and we had already called it the auto demo handler. In the future, we won't need to go over this again. We'll just continue to reuse this class here for any new bot that we build, which I'll be doing on a weekly basis. And then the next thing I wanted to show you guys is we need to update these handlers. So this first one says that we're handling the action. So this is where we want to handle the actual blockkit message response. So what we want to do is look at the blockkit that we built and then take the action ID that was given to it. So we're just going to copy that there, and we'll go ahead and paste that here. And then the second part of this is saying what happens when we understand that that action came through. What we want to do is use the function down here. So we called this one the handle blockkit response. So we'll copy that function name, and then we'll replace that here. So that should then handle any action ID response by using that blockkit response. And then for the second part, we got to update the modal. So what we want to do is look at the modal that we built. So that is here, and then we're going to use this callback ID. So we'll copy that, we'll paste that into here, and then this is fine because we just copy and pasted this from previously. So handle modal submission is handle modal submission. So that's all we want to do is run this function once we get a modal submission. So One other thing we need to do is update this content input. There was some additional fields here that I just deleted out because we built the modal a little bit differently than we had in the content creator, where the AI built everything for us. In this one, we had our modal built a little bit differently, so we didn't need that additional information there. All right, guys, one last thing we need to do is update here. So we'll call this auto demo handler equals, and then we know it's going to be called auto demo handler. Control Z. We have to import it here, so let's just do that first, and we'll get the name handlers.auto import auto demo handler, and then we should just be able to copy and paste that into here now, and then we'll go ahead and call this app Slack app, sorry, Slack underscore app. Alright, so now we should be able to send this to GitHub, and then it will finally work for us. So we'll go ahead and commit and push those changes. Yes. Alright, so we're in Slack and we're just going to go ahead and call on auto. We should get our block kit as a response. What would you like to write about? Let's just go ahead and do a social media post, and then what would you like to write about again? Please write a short caption about strength. And it should use the voice and tone that we gave it. Let's go ahead and input that. And then we got a caption here. Alright guys, that's the full demonstration on how to create interactive components. You saw we built a block kit, also a modal, all within Slack, and then we went ahead and sent that information to OpenAI, generated a AI generated response, and then we got that back. So you can use this for any type of thing. If you want to build it for yourself, if you want to offer this as a service for someone else, you could let them know that you could build them AI assistants that are interactive and program them however is needed for your client or for yourself, like I said. And then what now I'm going to show you now is that if you want to join into the AI trade school, we actually have an AI bot that will write all of the code for you, so it avoids a lot of the hiccups. So I'm just going to show you guys that now. Let's go ahead and jump in. Alright guys, so here we are in the AI Trade School Slack channel. For those of you that want to sign up, you'll get your own channel where you can interact with your own AI bot. You can see I've got some previous code in here. I use this on a regular basis. So I'm just going to show you guys how it works. What we do is just call on auto in here. It's going to ask us to choose from this drop down. We want the code writer, and then he should ask us what we would like help coding. And then I'm just going to copy and paste in the prompt that we would be able to use to have him generate that entire code base for us. So we can just use plain text language, and we just say that basically I want to create a message handler in this content creator handler channel, where when it's triggered it will provide a block kit with two options in a drop down, newsletter and social media. We say that we want to handle that response by showing a modal, and then in that modal we wanted to say what would you like us to write about. And then the last thing is handling the submission by referencing a dictionary where the writing style is predefined for newsletter and social media caption. And then finally we have it create a OpenAI generated response using the chat completion. So using plain English, we can just go ahead and ask Auto to write that for us. And then once we give it a second, it should just actually write all of the code for us. Alright, and here's the code. You can see it created it all for us, so it imports the necessary packages. It generally gives us a little bit more than we need. It understands how we're set up, but it likes to provide a full example. So here you can see that it's creating the class for us. It does the initialization. It does the handler setup for us. It creates the handle message where it creates a block kit. It then creates the handling of that response. So you can see it's even passing the private metadata, and then it's going to open up a modal. Here we're handling the modal by generating a response from OpenAI using the chat completion, and then it's posting that. So you can see it's a comprehensive code base here that it's given us. It understands the AI toolbox, even the utility functions that we have in there, and then it's able to write the code for us. So this is a much easier way, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video where I was walking you through actually how these interactive components are built. I'm going to be continuing to provide in-depth tutorials on different features and functions, not only within Slack, but AI tools in general. And then I'm also just going to be showing you guys how to use my AI assistant here, and we'll be creating different bots on a weekly basis. Just giving you guys different ideas on use cases that you can implement in your business. So I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.